Right. Yeah, I saw this and I thought I'd do it because I didn't actually know this. David Byrne, which is, like I say, he's one of my favourites. But David Byrne talks about being autistic. That kind of makes sense, though. I know not all autism and that, like, some is, but I do find like with a lot of like I remember getting into say getting into, but learning about Nikola Tesla, and I was just watching his thing and the way his brain worked, I think if it was in the modern day, he'd have been autistic. I think Elon Musk, he's the same. I've seen him in interviews, and there's definitely something going on there. Like, but yeah, I know not all autism is like that, but it makes sense to why he's such a genius as well, David Byrne. Um, because he is so original. But yeah, let's see what he's got to say. David Byrne talks about being autistic. Let's go.
I've heard that you have said what Tina Weymouth once said of you, I think this was at a tender time, and so I don't think she said it. I think she said it in, she wasn't as happy with you at this time, but she said, well, he has Asperger's. And then
I
I
didn't
read,
know what that was then.
yeah,
And then, yeah, after some other friends had told me about the kind of the spectrum of Asperger's and autism, and I thought, oh, yeah, I can see that. That certainly at an earlier point in my life, not so much now. There's a part where I felt very uncomfortable socially, and so I thought, oh, okay, yes, I can see that where I'll fit on that. Some of those things that, yeah, I, I can identify with that.
it's the very functioning end of the autism spectrum.
Yeah, yes, a very functional line. So I could certainly function fine, but socially very uncomfortable. Um, Probably the idea of observing and asking, like, am I supposed to do that? Is that the way? Is that what people do? That probably goes along with it a little bit. Um, Maybe kind of a sort of an intense focus on kind of the songwriting or the artwork that I was doing at the time, that kind of things. Probably so. It's, as other people have said, um, a little bit isn't the worst thing in the world. Uh, and when I felt like you don't know, however we are, whatever, we don't know how to be another way. That's the way we are. And you change over the years and become someone else, someone different than you were before. But but at that earlier point, that's who you are, and it's not. You can't say, "Oh, I'm unhappy. I wish I was more like this happy, gregarious person who's more socially adept." I would just. I figured I'm not. I'll make friends with a socially adept person, and they'll be the one that brings everyone in.
Well, Pauline Kael has this great line.
Sounds very calculated, but it
No,
wasn't quite as much.
we all need guides. We
Yeah.
all need guides. Well, Pauline Kael wrote, this is way early on, Byrne has a withdrawn, disembodied sci-fi quality. And though there's something unknowable and almost autistic about him, he makes autism fun. And at that time, I hope you know, I'm sure you do, what that means to the community with autism. I mean, people they're out of their minds happy. So they think that's the greatest thing they've ever heard. That you might even be at some time have been a part of their community.
You can see a bit like it because it's funny I said about Elon Musk because he actually reminded me a bit of Elon Musk and how he was talking and how he's not making eye contact. Um, but I do think that with autism, I think there's a set amount because I think everybody has traits. Everybody has at least a couple of traits of what would be autism. But I'm sure it's like an actual amount, like whether it's over if you tick five or more boxes of kind of autistic things. But yeah, but then I don't know whether being socially, yeah, awkward. Because some people just are like it, but and they're not autistic. It's just that it's just how they are. Like, but yeah, he makes autism fun, and that's what I was saying is that I know there's autism where you just it's like, yeah, you can't function, but then you have the functioning ones, and there does seem to be a middle ground of autism or middle of the spectrum where it does make people. I think it just because it makes you think in a different way. Like that is something that I noticed about Nikola Tesla, and at no point did anybody say he was autistic. Like not like they just say he's a genius, but there's the regular human brain doesn't think like that. If you read about Nikola Tesla and you see how his brain worked, and then you take that brain and you apply it to everybody you don't know no one like that. Like there's something going on in that brain that is making them, yeah. But I liked his answer as well because you find out with couples, like with in relationships, typically one, either the male or the female, is the more sociable one. Like, and the other one kind of relies more on them in a social setting. Like, um, yeah. So I liked his answer of I didn't think I really needed to get good at being in social situations. Like, I just thought I'd make friends with someone who is actually good, and they'll bring the friends. But in a way, even that is kind of like it's kind like, yeah. And when he says, but then I think we all feel a bit like that sometimes. We all feel a bit like not like everyone else, and um, yeah, that you don't fit in or whatever. I mean, some people don't, but it's typically the people that don't think like that are typically dumb. That's something else I've noticed. People that seem to have all the confidence in the world are actually useless. Like it's like when you watch people that go on X Factor and they're just full of confidence and they get up there and they're awful, but yet there's some actual musical genius sat in their bedroom that would never play for anybody, but they're actually a genius, right? Yeah. But I do think, yeah, there's got to be some type of because like I say, it was like it was kind of a bit Elon Muskish. The way he talks, the way he's looking around, the way he moves, like there is an element of roboticness and an element of uncomfortable, not comfortable in this thing, and that's the thing with Elon. I mean, although Elon is a good businessman too, obviously, but he doesn't run his company like a business. He's just got a bunch of geniuses trying to make shit, and he's one of them. Do you know what I mean? Like yeah. I remember he said one of his ex's dads come to meet him at his workplace, this Elon Musk, and he said my ex said, oh yeah, he said when we pulled up, Elon and his crew was outside. Do you know what I mean? In like joggers, not in suits or nothing. Um, like trying to get this go kart that they built to work, or it was something like that. That they just thought, let's just try and make a go kart. And the dad turned up and was like, "Well, there's a bunch of like idiots in the car park," and the ex was like, "No, that's actually them. Like, yeah, that's Elon and his crew. Like that, yeah." But you can definitely see there's something going on. But like I say, you can have a certain amount of, or I think everybody has certain autistic. It's the same as everybody has male and female like tendencies. Um, but you obviously, uh, yeah, you're either one or the other, but you do have traits of the other. Yeah, but yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the reaction. Sweet.